just in case you need another reason to vote, consider the fact that democracy itself is also on the ballot. I have to admit, sometimes going out on the campaign trail feels a little harder than it used to. And not just because I'm older and grayer, a little stiffer. Michelle says I'm still cute, though. But back when I was first running for office, people didn't agree with me on everything, but we could at least talk to each other. Maybe once in a while we could persuade each other. We could be civil towards each other. And that's why I ended up getting a whole bunch of Republican votes. And after I won, John McCain, my opponent, graciously conceded, gave me a call, publicly wished me luck for the sake of the country. And there was a peaceful transfer of power. That basic foundation of our democracy is being called into question right now. Democrats aren't perfect. I'm the first one to admit it. Politicians, just like all of us, can make mistakes. But right now, with a few notable exceptions, most of the GOP and a whole bunch of these candidates are not even pretending that the rules apply to them anymore. They are just making stuff up. Last year, Stacey's opponent signed one of the most aggressive voter suppression laws in the country. And later on, he admitted he was, quote, I'm quoting here, frustrated with the results of the 2020 election, so he, quote, did something about it, unquote. Now, let me tell you something. First time I ran for Congress, I was already in the state legislature, I ran for Congress. I lost the primary by 30 points. Got whooped. Whooped. It was embarrassing. Had to go out the next day. Had a big L on my forehead. And let me tell you, I was frustrated too. You know what I didn't do though? I didn't claim that the election was rigged. I didn't try to stop votes from being counted. I didn't incite a mob to storm the Capitol. I took my lumps. I figured out why my campaign hadn't connected to voters. I tried to run a better race the next time. And by the way, I won the next time because that's how our system works. Look, I get that democracy might not seem like a top priority right now. One of the more depressing headlines I saw was in a newspaper. They had done a survey. It showed 75% of Americans think that democracy is seriously at risk, but it's not their top priority. But I get that. Folks got bills to pay. They're worried about just keeping on, getting by. And it doesn't always feel like the political process is working for you when you don't see enough progress on the issues that matter to you and your family. I understand this. But we have seen throughout history, we see now around the world what happens if we give up on democracy. We can see it in other countries where the government tells you what books you can read and cannot read. Countries that put dissidents and reporters in prison. Countries where it doesn't matter who you vote for. The people in power will do whatever they want. Where corruption is rampant because there's no accountability. When true democracy goes away, people get hurt. It has real consequences. And that's why generations of Americans have fought, and some have died, for the idea of self-government and set up rules to make it work. That's why folks right here in Georgia and all across this country fought, and some died, to make sure that everybody had the right to participate in this government. That's why we teach our kids, even when they're little, certain rules about what's fair and what's honest. Rules about how we should make decisions together as a group. Everybody gets a say. Everybody gets a turn. If you don't get your way, don't throw a tantrum about it. Don't take your ball and go home. Get over it. Try to do better the next time. And that's what I mean when I say democracy's at stake in this election. That's why it's not enough to elect Democrats at the top of the ticket. We need to elect good people up and down the ballot. Across the country, some of the folks who tried to undermine our democracy are running for offices that will oversee the next election. And if they win, there's no telling what might happen. And that's why we need to work just as hard to elect secretaries of state like B. Wynn. We got to fight for them just like we fight to elect governors and senators who care about you. Because if things get close, they can make all the difference. And guess what? Now you get to make a difference too. You know, we joke in my house, Michelle, she'll admit this, she can be a little glass half empty sometimes. I'm the hope and change guy. So I'm usually a little more optimistic. But sometimes Michelle gets down about the state of the country and the state of the world. And I'll tell her everything will be okay. And I believe it will. But I also know that things will not be okay on their own. We have to fight for this. Democracy is not self-executing. It depends on us working, nurturing, caring for it. Not just on election day, but every day in between. It depends on us as citizens saying, this matters. This election matters, Georgia. These are tough times. The good news, though, is we've been through tough times before. The important thing is to resist the temptation to give up, to turn inward, to see politics as a mean zero-sum game where anything goes and rules are made to be broken. And the only way for people like us to win is if people like them lose. I don't believe in those politics. Because even in our darkest moments, and there have been darker moments in this country before, we have always had more in common than our politics suggest. Even when times are tough, what unites us has always been stronger than what divides us.